was the best game ever. The traps and riddles were so clever, and hardly any of our party even died.
Welcome to RPG Anthology. My name is Jonah Knight. RPG Anthology is a part of the Actual Story Podcasting Network. Learn more about all of these story-based shows over at actualstorypodcasting.com. Our theme song is Best Game Ever by Mikey Mason. Go on over to mikeymason.com and he will expose himself to you. In May, Actual Story is starting a Patreon. If you'd like some bonus episodes or if you'd like to play with us here on the show, keep a lookout for that Patreon. It could change your life. Our new arc is based on the game Escape From Dino Island, written by Sam Tung and Sam Roberts. There is a link for that in the show notes, or you can just Google Escape From Dino Island. RPG Anthology episodes tend to lean a little bit more towards the story side in the actual play podcasting world, so we trim out some of the out-of-character explanations that sort of come up during the show. Now, because of that, I'm going to mention a couple of things now before we begin. Escape from Dino Island was designed for one-shot play sessions. The authors have talked about how the game is pretty perfect for a game slot at a convention. They encourage you to begin just as the bad things start happening. So I sort of think of it as if the first Jurassic Park film were a game, the game would probably begin when the power went out and the T-Rex escaped. Now, we did not do that in this campaign. We began a little bit earlier with how the characters got to the island. Escape from Dino Island is based on the Powered by the Apocalypse rule set. A cool thing that this game does is that some of the moves require the character to tell another character a story. So every once in a while, a character will do a little monologue about their backstory in order to pull off a move. Now, as a dungeon master, sometimes I try to match a DMing technique to a specific game, kind of to see what would happen, to see if a specific technique would actually enhance the game. Escape from Dino Island can be very action-y. There's a lot of running and hopefully for the players a lot of escaping. I tried to make it feel a little bit cinematic, cutting between characters, hopefully creating an action film feel. Who knows? I don't think something like that would fit with other games, but I thought maybe that would work for this one. Okay? Okay, let's go.
My name's Josh Fisher. I am playing Bolts, the engineer. You can find all of my work at oneuppodcast.com. I have a D&D podcast and a history podcast and a therapy podcast, so pick your poison.
Hello, my name is Willow Wilson. I am playing the character known as Constance, and you can find me at Ensorcelled Pod, RPG, Harry Potter-esque podcast, and it's really cool. Check out Ensorcelled.
Hi, my name's Ty. I'm playing Gabriel Acosta, and you could find me at @the_Fierce King on Twitter.
Hi, my name's Alexandria Bell. I'm playing the kid, Eliza Harper, and you can find me on social media as Eliza Hammer, a professional wrestler for all your professional wrestling needs.
(1931). In the midst of the Great Depression, each of you have received a mysterious message. Promises and threats have convinced you to embark upon a strange journey to Horatio Vasquez Airport in Havana, Cuba.
My name's Frank McPherson. Friends call me Bolts. I'm an engineer. I served with the 1st Aero Squadron of the U.S. Army Air Service in the Great War. I'm always hungry and always trying to find something to tinker with to keep my hands busy.
I am Constance. I suppose I am a hunter. I took to the wilds many years ago, and I would prefer to still be there.
My name is Gabriel Acosta, and I'm a doctor. I work tirelessly to save the lives of all my patients, and I don't know the meaning of give up.
Inside hangar number 3, a taciturn woman with a blue military cap and an air of danger escorted you inside of an impressive private aeroplane to meet your benefactor. As each of you sits, this man tries to make eye contact with you and smiles. My name is Alois Kaiser. Welcome, I'm very pleased to see you. And he seems to have a light German accent. Since none of you speak German, you probably say, oh, I think that might be German. Sounds like German. I am the man organizing this expedition. And the fact that the 3 of you are here means I can trust you, and I can now give you answers to your questions. And he smiles and crosses his arms and leans against the seats and says, ask me any question you have.
Where did you get the money for this beautiful piece of machinery? I have designed some good planes in my time, but damn.
He seems very happy that that is the first question. His eyes light up and he looks around and he runs his hand along the ceiling. Oh, you like her, do you? Yes. I am very fortunate that my family has enough resources to finance projects like this. I've been spending a good amount of energy on my current project that you are now involved with. And so if we are going to be flying around the world, I, for one, will make that as comfortable as possible.
When can I go home?
Very soon. And he goes over to his papers and he shuffles through for a moment and he says, I was able to secure mining rights in Bolivia for their silver mines. And unfortunately, as you all know, they are engaged in an armed conflict with the Portuguese because it seems they no longer want to be a colony. The 3 of you are here to join this organization as we go to the site and then maintain the site for just long enough so that the mine can be fully secured, fully operational, perhaps with your expertise with medicine, mechanical knowledge, your knowledge of wildlife. Once the mine and the company is fully set up, then you can go back home with quite a bit of money and quite a bit of resources. I very much appreciate your journey and your commitment to this project.
Silver mines in Bolivia? Wasn't really my first guess, but I'm here. Thought it was going to be something much worse over in Europe.
Europe. He definitely sours when you say Europe. No, if I can avoid the continent, I will do that. I have no desire to go back there. Central America, South America, this is the future. These are the resources worth fighting for.
I quite agree.
He goes through some maps and he says, now, unfortunately, because of the conflict, we're likely going to have to land at the El Dorado airport in Bogota, Colombia. And it may be some traveling across land to get to Bolivia. We shall see. At about that point, you can start to hear some raised voices from out in the hangar. Meanwhile, in the civilian terminal...
My name is Elizabeth Harper, but my friends call me Eliza. I'm 11 years old, but don't let my age fool you. People say that I'm really mature.
After witnessing a case of mistaken luggage identity, Eliza pursued her suitcase across the tarmac and into a private hangar. You turn inside Terminal 3, and there are a number of people in here. It looks like just some technicians are finishing up. Maybe they're taking a hose out of the plane. A group of men and women that look like they're ready for some sort of jungle expedition. They might be speaking Russian.
My dad has a friend who speaks Russian.
It looks like there are 4 men and 2 women here in this group and sort of laughing and having a good time. And you can see that the 2 men pushing the cart have gone towards the back of this hangar and are arguing again and beginning to throw some luggage into the hold under this plane.
I approach the group of people speaking Russian.
There are 4 men and 2 women. One of the men is wearing a cowboy hat.
I definitely go to the cowboy hat man. I just say, hey, hi, sir. That's my suitcase on this plane. My suitcase, and I need it.
Seeing that you're speaking English, his eyes kind of light up, and he says in a very broken Russian accent, "Hello, cowgirl. Are you ready for rodeo?"
Yes, sir, I'm always ready for the rodeo. But I do need my suitcase.
He smiles and looks like he doesn't quite understand. "Yes, rodeo." And he tips the brim of his hat and smiles. And one of the women comes up and says, "To ignore him. He's not speak English. I speak English. What can I help with?"
Oh, hi. My suitcase was taken to this plane, so I need to get on it to get my suitcase back.
As she looks around at the men throwing luggage and she says, "Your suitcase with them?
Yes.
Come with me." And she walks you over towards them. As you're sort of passing these Russians, they all sort of stand up at once and look at something behind you. And they seem suddenly very edgy. And the woman that is walking with you also stops and turns. And you can see that it looks like there's a small group of Cuban police officers that are entering the hangar. And they all seem very unhappy with everything.
I just asked the lady that I'm with, do you know them?
And I'm going to try to stop doing accents here. And she says, "Just stand behind me." And she says something in Russian to one of the men who doesn't turn to look at her, but he nods quickly. And she starts backing you up towards the back of the hangar. Suddenly you can tell who is in charge of this Russian group because he starts organizing his team, and they look like they are preparing to square off against this group of police officers.
I think I would want to hide.
You are close to the airplane where they are putting luggage in.
I try to climb up into where the luggage is going so that they don't see me.
The 2 men that were loading the luggage in have just ran out. They've left very quickly.
I climb into the cargo area.
And so inside the airplane, you can hear what sounds like raised voices. Some are in Spanish. And then a moment later, it sounds like there is a reply in Russian. And things are getting loud outside, and it sounds like it's very tense. Alois swears under his breath and says, "Excuse me," and runs forward towards the cockpit where it looks like he might have a better view of what's going on outside.
I kind of just back up, still clutching my knife, very confused and nervous.
All of you hear a gunshot, and then everything gets really loud. The few voices that were louder are now joined by many, many more loud voices just yelling. And after a moment, the woman who guided you on comes in dragging the pilot. He is very frazzled and upset, and she just grabs him and shoves him towards the cockpit and yells something in some language that sounds kind of like Spanish, but it might not be Spanish. I don't know. She turns back to you and says, "You may all want to take your seat."
You sure you want him flying like that? He looks a little distressed. You shouldn't put someone in the pilot seat who is emotionally compromised.
We pay him to fly. He will fly. And she just ducks out and runs back outside and starts yelling.
I'm going to strap in.
I strap in too. I have a head nurse that's just like her.
I back around. I'm not quite comfortable getting in one of these seats, but I crouch on the ground and brace myself.
On the ground? Brace yourself on the ground?
Yes. Perhaps clinging to the arm of a chair. I do not like to be so confined.
Another gunshot. And then you hear more footsteps on the stairs as members from that exploration team in the hangar start to come aboard. Eliza, you're inside the baggage, and you can hear footsteps on the outside. It sounds like 2 people close the door. You hear some latching, and then footsteps as they run away. and you can also hear gunshots.
I just stay quiet because I'm really worried about the gunshots.
And everybody inside, slowly, you're joined by these other members of the team that were outside. And they run in, and one by one, it looks like they all run towards the back of the plane and strap themselves in. You can see that they're all holding guns at this point, and you didn't notice that, but they were on the other side of the hangar when you got here. And the woman is the last one in, and she kicks away the stairs and slams the door shut, yells something towards the cockpit, and the plane begins to taxi towards the runway. And you continue to hear gunshots from the outside, pings against the edge of the plane.
You should not be shooting at such a beautiful aircraft.
And the plane continues to taxi, and you can probably see, those of you who are in seats, look out the windows. There are a handful of members of Cuban police force and a few more from what looks like a Cuban military. It looks like the military is trying to stop the police from shooting at the airplane. And a few more shots go off before they've stopped them all. The plane continues to taxi. It cuts off another airplane that looks like it was in line to go next. Eventually, you are all in the air. And those of you that want to look can see that, yes, you are leaving the island of Cuba. And the plane indicates that you are indeed going south towards South America.
I look at the rest of them. Do any of you speak English?
There's a woman that says, "Yes, I speak English."
What's with all the shooting?
Misunderstanding. If you're on an airplane, are you in Cuba or are you on an airplane? Cuba thinks you are in Cuba. We think you are not in Cuba, you are on an airplane.
And what would be the big difference between the two?
If they can arrest you.
Why would we be arrested? I'm here on business.
No, not you. It's misunderstanding. Eliza, as this plane was taking off, all of the baggage shifted around. And you had a little bit of time there where you probably had to dodge out of the way. I think that to dodge all of this flying baggage that was coming at you, I think that might mean a just do it roll, where you're just trying to get out of the way.
I got a 10. I managed to move out of the way of all the suitcases, and I look around to see where I am now that we're in the air.
There's no window here, but because you had a good success and you were definitely on your toes making sure that you didn't get hit, you've definitely found your suitcase. And as all of this luggage shifted, you can see that in the back of the hatch, there is what looks like a trap door going up.
Grab my suitcase and set it to the side. And then I start moving the suitcases under the trap door so that I can reach up to it.
It feels like there's something blocking it. Constance, someone is pushing the floor against your feet.
I immediately shuffle to the side, and again I am crouched, so it is kind of like a weird crab walk. But I get out of the way and I look at the part of the floor that is moving.
A panel on the floor is pushed up. In the space beneath is a young girl.
Hello.
Hi. I'm on this airplane.
It seems that I am as well.
Do you know where we're going?
No?
Oh no. My mom is gonna be really mad at me if I don't get off this airplane.
I think that would be very difficult. We are in the sky.
Can you help me up to get up there? Because it's scary down here.
I help her up.
And you pull Eliza up into the cabin. And there's those soldiers, including the lady who is trying to help you get your bag. They're in the back of the plane, arguing amongst themselves. They don't quite notice that you're there.
I want to go over to the lady I was talking to earlier. I kind of tug on her sleeve.
She is very surprised to see you.
Miss, I'm on this plane now. And I really need to get off because my mom is going to be really mad.
I think you get off with the rest of us in Colombia.
Colombia's not in America, though. And my mom said that we have to go back to America now, so...
It looks like some of the other people that she's talking to are sort of speaking in raised voices to her in Russian, and she's sort of being pulled back and forth, and she finally looks to you and says, "We're going to Colombia. I'm sorry."
Oh, my mom is going to be really, really mad. So I go to take a seat.
On the floor with the woman who helped you up, or in a chair?
Yes, I go sit very close to the woman who helped me up.
The woman with the blue cap who checked most of you in comes back from the cockpit and starts to talk to Bolts, leans over to say something, and then notices that there's a small girl on the plane and stares at you for a moment, doesn't say anything, and turns to Bolts. "We may need you up front."
I've been waiting to hear those words all day, let me tell you.
"Doctor, can you come too?"
Of course, I follow straight to the front. Yes, ma'am.
So she takes the two of you up front, steps to the side so you can see that the pilot, his left shoulder is very red.
Don't tell me that you let an injured man fly out of a freaking gunfight into the sky?
We pay him to fly, he will fly. You fly for now, and Doctor, you fix his shoulder, and then he can keep flying. Raul, back. And Raul, the pilot, kind of pushes his chair back, and he's sort of like is shimmying sideways so that Bolts, he's indicating that you can like
Grab
take this seat here. Yeah. Alois is in the co-pilot seat. He is looking through maps, like he's trying to help find some information on direction or something.
Well, I never did imagine that I'd be flying next to a German.
I am Austrian. I'm not German.
Oh, my mistake. I heard the last name and, just assumed. And
not German. You just go straight, and I will navigate for you. I find these maps. Sure, we are on course for Bogota.
You point, and I'll fly the plane. Keep her steady.
Flying is something that you can just do. So settling into this seat and making sure that you can do this well is a just do it. You haven't quite been behind this stick before.
Yeah. And to be fair, I probably haven't flown in like 6 years.
Yeah.
So +1 for steady, so that's 11.
Yeah, it's a very smooth transition. Gabriel, the woman pulls Raul out of the front and puts him down in a seat, and she turns to you and says, "Just make it so he can fly," and turns away.
Yes, ma'am. I look at Raul and ask him to go ahead and remove his shirt so I can get to the wound. I look at him and I was like, I wouldn't be honest if I told you this was the first bullet I had to remove from Chicago. And well, as I'm doing this, I'm getting out forceps, a little pair of scissors, thread, needle, some rubbing alcohol, and it's just all my supplies, opening my bag, getting through it. Capone really had Chicago up in a frenzy, and stray bullets hit everywhere. Gonna forego morphine at this point since he has to fly the plane right afterwards. And I go in to start to remove the bullet. I can only imagine how much that hurts him. And then once that's out, sewing it up. That way it doesn't bleed on out. It's a quick job and a painful one, but as long as he can bite through the pain and bear it, I'll get this done as quick as possible.
You have the proper equipment because you have your bag with you, and this is not a moment of peril. So you are able to get that bullet out and wrap him up as he screams for about 4 minutes off and on.
Yep, no, that's definitely normal. I'm used to screams. I take 2 of my miracle pills, which in 1930s would have been pure oxycontin, and put them in his jacket pocket and let him know once the plane lets down, you can go ahead and take those.
Constance and Eliza, from where the two of you are, you have a pretty good view of the screaming pilot and the doctor who keeps poking out a hole in his shoulder.
Miss, is that guy okay?
Perhaps.
Okay, because it looks like he's kind of hurt.
It seems so, yes.
Do you think I should help?
I think the man with the sharp tools has it handled. I think we should stay out of his way.
Okay. I have a question for you. Why are you on this plane if you don't know where it's going?
I was hired to come on this plane and then I can go home at some point.
Oh, so this is your job?
It is a necessity. When it is done, I can return home.
That's what my parents' jobs are like too. They have to go somewhere and then sometimes they come back and sometimes they stay away for a long time.
What are you doing on this plane?
Well, I was supposed to be going home with my parents, and then someone took my suitcase, and I tried to tell them that it was mine, and he tried to say that it wasn't my suitcase, but all my stuff is in my suitcase, like all my shirts and everything. So I followed it, but then when I got into like a weird building, people started yelling, which scared me. So I got on the plane so that they wouldn't see me, but then the plane left. And I'm still on it, which I am not supposed to be.
Oh, zoot. That is quite the problem.
This is what I'm saying. My mom is gonna be really mad.
Oh, your mother. I do not know how to help.
No.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Constance. Or you can call me Constance.
My name is Elizabeth, but all my friends call me Eliza.
Hello, Eliza.
In the cockpit, a little bit of time has passed. It looks like Alois has found whatever maps he's been looking for and has changed the course a little bit. There are a couple of dials that seem stuck, and after maybe an hour or so, it does look like the fuel gauge is a little lower than it should be. Now that you're over the Caribbean Sea, getting all the way across, you may not have all of the fuel that you need for that.
Well, Alois, I hope you came up with a backup plan, because we are burning fuel at an alarming rate, and I don't think I can get us all the way to Colombia.
And he's flipping through his maps. It's all right. Shh, a little bit more. Change course just a little. I think there's an island that should be coming if we go a little bit to the west. This seems like the place we can land.
All right, you're the boss.
Raul seems to think that he's ready to fly the plane. He's pushing himself back up. Looks like he's thanked you, Doctor, and he's turned back to the cockpit and is stumbling and swaying.
I pack up my supplies. I pray that he doesn't take those pills before we land and head towards the back. So, kid, you ever seen a bullet?
No. Do you have one I can see?
Yeah, here. And just he drops the bullet. It's cleaned off. He cleaned it off. But drops the bullet into her hands. That was Jess and Raul.
Wow. Is this from a real gun?
It's from a real man that a real gun shot into, yes. But that's yours to keep. I hope that's the most exciting thing that happens to you on this plane.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Raul has come back to the cockpit and is saying something to you in Spanish, Bolts, that looks like he wants to sit down and fly again.
I'm gonna look over at Alois and just say, has your pilot here ever made a ditching a ditched landing before? Does he know how to account for, if he has to ditch in the sea, how to account for the swells of the ocean or the direction of the current? Because I don't feel confident that we're going to make it to this island of yours. I think we're going to have to ditch.
And Alice turns to Raul, and they start having a conversation in Spanish. And Raul seems very insistent about pushing you out of the way to get his seat back. And then the woman sort of appears in the cockpit and grabs onto Raul and just yanks him out and pulls him back into the cabin and shoves him down in his seat so that those of you in the cabin can see him. And she yells at him in Spanish for a moment. He hears whatever she is saying and is very silent and puts the seatbelt on. And then it looks like he remembers something and searches his pockets and finds a couple of pills and takes them.
Yeah, he'll be out soon.
And it is now later afternoon. This fuel gauge is getting pretty low, but you do see an island coming up on the horizon.
Thank God. You see Gabriel's right leg shaking a bit, bouncing up and down, and he's fiddling with the pack of cigarettes, popping one in, then back out, in and back out.
So you all have windows available to you. Are you the kind of person that is calm during an emergency landing?
I am stressed about the emergency landing, but at the moment I am more stressed by just being around people. It's a lot, but the main problem is not the emergency landing.
And I would be perfectly calm if I could smoke, but I haven't smoked in 2 hours, and I am the opposite of a calm during stressful situations.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm pretty confident that the adults will figure it out.
Through the cockpit, as you're approaching, you can see that this island juts up from the sea with kind of sharp cliffs. The word plateau comes to mind, but I don't know if that's absolutely correct. Though certainly some of these cliffs against the ocean are pretty sheer and might be pretty high. As you approach, it looks like the first thing you can see is a beach, but it doesn't look like a comfortable beach. It looks like there's a lot of stone, a lot of rocks, but you did see that there's some sort of building or maybe multiple buildings just up the hill from the beach. Most of the island looks like a jungle. Very thick trees, very thick vegetation. Off in the distance, in the middle of this jungle, there is a pretty big lake that sort of stands out to you. There is a mountain off to the edge in the distance. And then straight ahead, Bolts, you can see that there is a clearing coming up.
So knowing what I know about emergency landings, it's always best to try and aim for a softer spot, but a beach with a bunch of rocks, not ideal. So I'm going to make for that long stretch. I'm going to circle around and try and land in that long stretch there.
I think it's a just do it. Yeah. Can you
Sure.
crash this plane without going full into the jungle?
All right.
Roll plus steady, please.
It's an 8.
You could probably land it so the plane doesn't break that much, and maybe it can be fixed, but maybe people would get thrown around in the back and your passengers would be injured. Or you can just kind of hit the ground, get to a stop, and break the plane more, but the passengers would not be injured.
When crashing a plane, it's always better to preserve the life of your passengers. That's rule number 1. So, well, actually, rule number 1 is to actually crash the plane safely, but rule number 2 is preserve life. So, risk the plane, braking more, and brake hard to stop the plane.
There is a huge jolt through the entire plane as the wheels hit the ground. There is a large snap and grinding of metal because the wheels just snapped off. The bottom of the plane is now grinding along this field. The upside is that's a lot of friction, and the plane actually slows pretty effectively and does not leave the open area and completely crash into the jungle. There's a lot of stuff that sort of flies around the cabin. Some of the papers that Alois had on his desk in the back are scattered around. Constance, did you buckle in?
Did I? I don't think she would. She's certainly bracing, clinging, clutching onto whatever she can. Like her arms are her seatbelt. I don't know. She's not comfortable strapping in to into a chair where she's confined.
You can try to hold onto your butt
I think I can.
to really hang on to this seat and not get thrown over a couple rows of chairs.
Yes. Okay. Cool. I'm rolling plus fit.
Eliza might have the option to do take my hand.
I hope so, because I rolled a 2 and a 1.
Oh no.
I have a +2, but that's still not great. That's a 5.
Yeah, I think Eliza, you can try take my hand. And if you grab onto her, she won't get as hurt.
I got 10.
Constance starts to lose her grip, and you're able to grab on, just to throw your arms around her and keep her from flying away. Constance, you get a little bruised and bang yourself on these seats, but you do not go flying towards the back of the plane.
Merci.
Thanks very much for joining us here at RPG Anthology as we escape from Dino Island. Josh, Willow, Ty, Alexandra, and I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Actual play podcasts have a pretty wide range these days. The fast edits and the underscoring that we're using here, framing character action like filmed sequences, feels like a pretty fun experiment. It's different from our last campaign, Spirit of 77, and it is different from our next campaign, Nerves of Steel. If you'd like to share your thoughts on this or on anything that we're doing, try the Actual Story Podcasting Facebook page. All right. See you next week.